I finished reading Volume 2 of Stars of Chaos, and I really liked this story. I enjoyed Volume 1 a lot, and Volume 2 was also really good. I'm really happy that I decided to read this series. When Volume 1 had ended, I thought that things were going to get crazy going into Volume 2, and it did. Volume 1 ended with Guyun and Kongung and their allies that were with them at the time putting an end to a rebellion that the second prince was planning before it had even started. And Guyun wanted to hide his involvement from the emperor, but the emperor had received a second memorial at the same time stating Guyun's involvement. And I just knew that this was going to lead to the emperor shaking things up in the court. In the first chapter of Volume 2, there is a time skip, but we find out about the changes that the emperor put in place in the aftermath of the failed attempted rebellion. The Emperor is a paranoid man and also a control freak. Guyun also holds a lot of military power, which the Emperor doesn't like, but that is understandable. Two of the big changes that the Emperor puts in place are the Token of Mastery Law and the Marching Order Decree. The Token of Mastery Law requires all civilian artificers to have to register with the government and get a Token of Mastery so that they can work. They will be placed in one out of five ranks based on their skill level and also experience, which would determine the type of work that they could do. Anyone who is not registered cannot practice their trade anymore, and all non military artificers are forbidden from working on armor and engines for the military. The consequence to breaking this law is having your fingers cut off and being exiled. Then there's the Marching Order Decree. This creates military inspector roles that have term limits and report directly to the Ministry of War, and their job is to request marching orders from the Ministry of War. The commanding generals of the five regions now need the marching orders decree if they want to move any of their troops. If they moved their troops and didn't have the marching order decree, then it would be considered treason. This also limits Guyun's power. Guyun has a Black Iron Tiger tally, which gives him the authority to command all military forces in the nation during emergencies. But now, since moving troops without a marching order decree is considered treason, if the Ministry of War refuses to give Guyun one, then the Black Iron Tiger tally is basically useless. There was also purging of members of the court during these 4 years, as well as a lot of debate and arguments over the changes that the emperor put in place during this period. Also, Kongung had run away during this time. At the end of Volume 1, Kongung and Guyun got into an argument because Kongung had decided to leave Guyun's side. Guyun ends up having him brought back to the estate in the capital. After I think about a year, Kongung has successfully managed to run away. Guyun sends people to keep an eye on him, but he does manage to lose them, especially after Kongung gains a military teacher who happened to be the same teacher that Guyun had. Kungung's new teacher had also found out that Kungung was poisoned, and now he's getting help from the Li Yuan Pavilion to try and help with it. Kungung was also learning medicine during this time as well. Kungung is in the southern region and he ends up seeing Guyun again after 4 years as Guyun is escorting an official from the Ministry of War to the southern border army. This leads to the first conflict in this volume. The envoy from the Ministry of War wants to use this to push the marching orders decree through. The commander of the Southern Border Army is opposed to the marching order decree, but he has also been doing things he shouldn't be and working with bandits of the southern region. Guyun and Kungung are able to handle it and take care of the situation. Kungun is also not the same person he was when the conflict at the East Sea happened in the last volume. During these 4 years, he had grown and matured and is more skilled than he was back then. This conflict also shows that there is someone working behind the scenes trying to cause conflict. The country is already having issues. The treasury has been empty for a while. Farmers have been put out of work due to machines that took their jobs. Some of them moved to look for work while others turned to being bandits. There's also the Violet Gold black market. Their nation doesn't need any more issues. Plus, Guyun had realized that this recent issue at the southern border and the one 4 years ago at the East Sea are connected. The conflict between the Emperor and Guyun doesn't get any better either. Gunyun willingly gives up the Black Iron Tiger Tally and the marching orders decree are in place, but the emperor questions why Gunyun hands it over without any complaint. Gunyun just wants peace for his country, but the emperor is very wary of him. Gunyun also refuses orders from the emperor in this volume because he doesn't believe that it would help the country, but this does anger the emperor. It was also revealed that the late emperor, who is the current emperor's and Kungun's father, is the reason for Guyun being deaf and blind. Also, that the late emperor had targeted Guyun not just once but twice when he was young. This was also revealed to the public, but Guyun had found out 5 years prior when he was first sent back to the northwest border and was tasked with bringing back a barbarian prince from the 18 tribes that had attacked back in Volume 1 back to his homeland. He was the one that had told Guyun the truth. The reveal to the court also leads to even more conflict, and pretty soon after this, there is an attack on the northern border by the 18 tribes, on the southern border, and then also in the EC by the western regions and their pope. This volume ends with them being at war, which isn't surprising. There was something brewing in the background for a while. The emperor does have to rely on Guyun while this is happening. Kungung is also working to help with this situation and is showing just how capable he is. And I feel like it's going to eventually make the emperor paranoid and wary of Kungung as well.